Le Mans, practically the home for all sports car racing. Whether it's prototypes or GT cars, it just makes sense when you see them racing here. And though the French love affair with racing may not have started here, this is where the romance blossomed. While you might be tempted to close your eyes and listen to the sounds of the machines in order to step back in time and imagine what it must have been like in the heyday, we have to imagine no longer. Taking classic sports cars onto the track, we get ready to watch round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, while iRacing holds its official 24 hours of Le Mans, the Kamel drivers seem to be happy to have their own mini version. Tell us about the track.
Welcome to Circuit de la Sarthe, right here in Le Mans, France. And, you know, Joe, this track is very familiar to many. Still rather new to the iRacing service. I guess we're still under about 3 years since we got it. You know, one of the great things about this track is, think like Talladega, Daytona, if you're talking about oval racing. Compare it to this, you know, you spend about 85% of the lap full throttle. Immense stress on the engine, the drivetrain components, everything involved. The turbo lag going to be a bit of an issue here when you're getting out of the Mulsanne hairpin down in Indianapolis. Certainly, it could be a problem for drivers today. We'll keep an eye on it, though, very closely as we go 60 minutes here today around Le Mans. Enough said about that. Let's get an idea what it's really like. Let's hop on board for another GSRC lap guide here at Le Mans.
All right, we've got Clayton McLeod in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Le Mans. Though the front stretch is by far not the longest straight on the track, you gain quite a bit of speed flying along here. Hold the car off to the left to give yourself a nice wide angle into the Dunlop curve, and then throw out the anchors to slow it up for the Dunlop chicane. Be careful with the sleeping policemen at the apexes because they can damage the car. Over the hill, we dive under the Dunlop bridge and then plunge down into the Chapel rundown. That leads directly into the Forest S's where the line is all important. The hump at the exit will be particularly tricky with the immense power of the Nissan's turbo. Then there's Tertre de Rouge, which goes by lightning fast in this car. It's no less critical to your lap time because it takes you onto the long Mulsanne straight. But this straight has been broken up by a pair of chicanes. First is the Forza chicane, which requires some great bravery on the brakes to send the car in quickly. Hug tight to the middle apex, and then try not to spin the tires getting back to the power. Not much to see until the Michelin chicane, which is the same as the Forza chicane, but mirrored. Same approach. Try to carry speed into the first apex, get the car set up in the middle, and then press the gas as gently as you please to keep that turbo from looping you around. That'll then take us to the Mulsanne corner. With all the downforce on the Nissan, you can wait until astonishingly late to get on the binders. Even still, the car is not much use in the gravel, so take care to be tidy through here. Being able to confidently get to the power off the corner is very important, since you won't be braking until Indianapolis. You'll need a big lift for the kink, hold the car off to the right, and then try to safely slow it down for this treacherous bend. Switch sides quickly because Arnage comes up fast. This is one of the slowest corners of the track and embarrassingly easy to loop the car in these lower gears. Smooth throttle application will be very important. Finally, there's the Porsche curves. They start with a scary fast entry, but be sure to hug the inside to set up for bridge. Be brave and keep your foot in it, just don't clout the big blue wall to the outside. Lift as you transition into karting and continue to bleed off speed as the corners get tighter. Take care not to drift too wide in the left-hander or you can get a slowdown penalty. After that, you're flat out through Maison Blanche, and then you get a short breather to get ready for the Ford chicane. It's tempting to take the car in too fast through this first part, but you've got to keep it planted to set up properly for the second part. Don't take too much curb to keep from damaging the car, and then be sure to nail your exit to keep your momentum up on the pit straight. As we cross the line, we've now finished the lap around Le Mans.
You see an abbreviated lap around Le Mans, but while we wait for drivers to take the long lap around to get their first time in, let's take a glance at the points, starting with the prototypes. This is the GTP Championship. Fabian Gerber leading by 34 points now and Nicholas Schneider a little bit farther behind. But interestingly, look at our two top drivers. Both have pocket points, but nobody else does. They're going to be hard to catch here in the final 3 rounds of the season. Justin Albrecht finally getting a good result, jumps himself up to the top 5. They also have the Prototype Lights, GTP Lights Championship that they run in this series. And up at the top of them, we have John Keefe and Michelle Rugenbrink giving very, very close chase. Those two have been tight for a while this season. It's just been a back and forth between them. Johnny Bell used to be a little bit closer up there, but needs some better results throughout the season if he wants to get into it. And look at that, tied for 4th as well. Creechreek and Richard Keel also sitting there in 4th position, both of them jumping up to get into that spot. Now, the GTO standings have 2 of each of their own. And Sean, what are we looking at there?
Yes, sir. Let's look at those GTO standings right now. Here in the Pro Division, it's Villarreal who commands the lead right now. Up there in first, Rob Olenek, 22 points behind. Certainly not out of this thing yet. Jamie Hall coming up the board, 2 spots to find himself now in 3rd. Dropping Ove Trengray down to 4th, now 29 points out. But you see how tight it is there, 22, 25, and 29. They're all within arm's distance of each other, and those points certainly could change today and probably will. 2 drivers stuck there at 32 points back. Joe, this GTO standings, this championship is on with just a few rounds left. Let's look at the GTU standings real quick here. This will be the junior division, if you will. Hideki Kuivitso sits on top, but only by 5 points, as the Canadian Matthew Jette has had a pretty solid season and sits just outside there. Now, Shanahan, the American, a little tough for the Americans. They're down to 3rd and 4th. Shanahan, 39 points out, and David Roth also 63 points out. So the likelihood of them being able to tackle 2nd and 1st, maybe not there, but still, all around a pretty good season, Joe.
I'd say so. They've been giving us thrills not only on track, but in the points tail as it unfolds. Now, if you've never watched one of these races, let's go over the race details real quick. This one's going to be a little bit different. We are in round 10, as we mentioned, and the distance, instead of the 40-minute race they typically do for their sprint races, this is an endurance, which is appropriate with us being at Le Mans. 60-minute race, which means you can expect at least 1 stop for fuel in both of the classes. They do have open setups, even though they've limited the fuel tanks a little bit to make sure that they are required to take a stop. So drivers can tweak both the GTO and the GTP cars to their liking. There you see the scoring at the bottom. Payne down to 20th position with 25 points for a win, and that is in each class earns those points. That's not overall. If you're watching us, well, thank you, first of all. But there are other channels that you can watch today with lots of action, including the iRacing Esports Network. Right now, they are covering the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans, not the real one. And I believe they have, if not full coverage, I believe they have at least 18 hours that you can see live here, or over there, I should say, on the iRacing Esports Network. Go give them a subscribe if you're interested in all the action that we have here on iRacing. Taking a look at the qualifying times, because we got a few of the, actually both classes getting some times in. Looks like Fabian Gerber currently leading our GTPs, and Rob Olenek the fastest over in the GTOs.
Yeah, it's pretty good pace for Olenek, too. Nobody really even... Villarreal was off by, Joe, over a second off that pace Rob threw down.
Wow, big difference there. But they're only going to be able to get 1 lap in, we believe, because I'm trying to see if any of the GTOs are close enough to be able to finish this 2nd lap. 2.5 minutes left, and they're running 4-minute laps. That just doesn't... I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I see trend grades out there. Now, he already got 1 in, though. He's not going to get a 2nd in. He's coming into Forza right now.
Yeah, he's, I think, just getting a little bit more warm-up. Tobias Gerber managed to get a 4th place in, and even the the GTP cars might not be able to complete this lap. It's going to be awful tight for a number of them, that's for sure.
It's going to be tight for Riley Thompson and Stephen Jones. There's a name we haven't seen before, Stephen Jones from the Great Plains. And, well, I think he got out of the car. But Riley Thompson coming around, he might make it, Joe. He's making a trip down to Indianapolis now.
Another one our fans might have heard of before is Matt Orr is out there running with us today. And he's actually coming around the Mulsanne. His first lap time puts him in 7th, and he's not going to elect to take a second lap because he's come to a halt out of the Mulsanne corner. Just about a minute left to go here. Now, I know that the GTO cars put quite a bit of hole in the air, Sean, so we expect to see some drafting there. What about the Nissans? Those kind of known for not really offering a lot in the way of the draft. Are the straights long enough that they'll get something here?
A little bit, Joe, but it's still not the gains of the Audi. They're just so sleek and so flat. Honestly, the wing is really the only thing that cuts the hole in the air for the Nissan. But the straights are long enough that if you're close enough coming out of exit, you get a good run out of Tetra Rouge or out of Forza, maybe, out of one of the chicanes. If you can get right up on somebody, you'll have a good passing opportunity because, again, those straights are just long enough to get something done. But you really got to be within that, I'd say somewhere between about 2 and 4 tenths in a Nissan to make something like that happen. Whereas in the Audi, you can get a good run probably from about 6 tenths of a second back.
And look at that. Thompson's just going to squeak in here as he crosses the line. I think that one's going to count for Thompson.
It did. It put him up to 3rd.
Nice. Saved by the bell. All right, let's go through our starting order then. Fabian Gerber still on the pole. He was not ousted, even though a number of prototypes did get a second lap. And Justin Albrecht finally had a good race last week. Let's see if he can repeat it here. He'll be starting in 2nd. Tobias Gerber is going to be in P3 with Fabian Jungbluth, who actually is running in Le Mans over in the official iRacing 24 Hours. He'll start 4th. Clayton McLeod will be P5. Nicholas Schneider, who we saw fighting for this championship, he starts in 6th with Radar Anderson in his 7th. John Key fighting for that AM championship. He'll start 8th. Empty box, Matt Orr, he starts in 9th with Martin Krejcik starting 10th. And then we'll get to it later, but Michelle Rugenbrink, Koivisto, Bell, Guldiger, and Pruitt all did not get a lap time in the GTPs. Let's go to the Audis.
All right, Rob Olenek has got that great qualifying pole lap, and Villarola going to start right outside him there. Riley Thompson getting one in literally at the last second. He'll qualify 3rd. Ove Trengray with a 4th qualifying effort there, and then Nick Bucanos in 5th. Jamie Hall's going to start 6th today. Shanahan, Brian, he's there in 7th. Miroslav Jurasek back with us today. 8th. Phil in and around the lake said, you know what, I don't need a qualifying lap. I'll beat you guys anyway. He starts 9th, and Stephen Jones is going to start 10th, Joe, as we get ready to go here at Le Mans.
You see the rest of the prototype cars. They will not be starting behind the GTO cars, even though it said so on the grid. They are sorted out according to class and just waiting to start their way through the Porsche curves, then through the Ford chicane, and we go racing for 60 minutes here in round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. Thank you for joining us. If you're taking a break over from the official coverage of the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans, this is, I promise you, going to be quite a bit of excitement in this series. They almost always put on a good show with a bit of chaos out here in the Kamel GT cars, but the good kind of chaos.
Chaos with a capital K. Honestly, if they could just get through the Ford chicane at the start of this, if they could just get through there, we got a chance to to get a lap in. So that can these green flag starts, they get a little bit of a roll at it. Always worry me here.
Yeah, and well, we know that these GTP cars do not like the curbs, so those guys have to tiptoe through there extra careful. I almost wonder if they're going to try and do just a single file start through that chicane because of how tall those curbs are. Working their way through bridge, up into karting. These corners incredibly fast. Have to imagine, as a Nissan, you have to really hope that there's not a lot of marbles around the track offline through here, because that's got to be a nightmare trying to weave around the Audis.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to keep it in the gray. Is the track wide enough, Joe? There's plenty of great opportunities to run side by side, but yeah, you've got to be careful. Hanging it out there on the edge is not going to help you.
And there we see the tricolor being flown by the French Air Force, as they always do, make an appearance here at Circuit de la Sarthe for any of the iRacing races. They're a bit expensive, but you know, iRacing managed to find a way to get them to come to the sim every time. I hear they bribed them with pizza, Sean.
Ooh, pizza.
All right, green flag is out. In fact, the top four are single file. The rest of the field, though, trying to go double wide, and it doesn't quite work out as a bunch of them get left behind coming off of the chicane. But they streak their way down towards the Dunlop chicane. Already Fabian Gerber and Justin Albrecht pulling away a little bit. We got a battle for fifth between Jungbluth and Schneider, and it looks like the GTOs have already started off.
Oh yeah, they have, Joe. They're hot on Johnny Bell's heels. Rob Olenek got off to quite a start, man, and Riley Thompson was shot out of a cannon. Thompson on the move, already dropped Nick Mukanos by about 2 seconds.
He looks like he is eager to get another win. It's been a while in this series since we've seen Thompson at the top step of the podium. He's got Rob Olenek to try and chase down. We've got action in the GTPs, though. John Keefe with Matt Orr and Radar Anderson. All three cars almost looking to go 3 wide.
Oh, boy.
Big accident.
Mukanos is there, and so's over.
We're going to go to a replay, but the GTOs had to weave their way through that.
They're still weaving through it, Joe.
Michelle Rugenbrink involved in that.
Oh, my.
Started with just Schneider getting tipped by, I think, Krejcik.
This, we look at it one more time here.
Rugenbrink just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, what this has done, Joe, is it's really stacked up the GTO field. I mean, at least the second half of the field, because the front two have just started to walk away from everybody else. But behind it, I mean, you got Mukanos, Jamie Hall, Obey Trengrave, Phil Lake, Billy Riola, all just log jammed right now as they go through the Michelin.
And also, I'm not sure if we caught it on the replay, but that was Koivisto and Goldogger who just barely eked by that incident in the GTP class. As we watch the GTOs stream down in a train.
What a sight. It's a snake.
Just incredible stuff. And I think that's Ove, along with Philip Lake and Vili Ruola going at it. Car off in the background that you saw was Miroslav Jurasek coming back to the track after hitting the kitty litter.
Joe, they are doing some bobbing and weaving, buddy. I mean, it's just all over the place.
We're about 3 minutes into this 60-minute race. To the inside goes Jamie Hall, getting past Nick Mukanos, breaking into Indianapolis. Such a tough place to slow the car down, but they all get in there safely. And that's Rugenbrink that you see trying to weave his way back through.
Yeah, he's got a damaged machine, Joe. He's having trouble just getting around. I almost feel like he might be holding them up just a bit, Phil Lake and Brian Shanahan.
Don't need to go to it, but John Keefe had an off heading into the Porsche curves. He came back on undisturbed, but lost a few positions. See him continuing on behind Radar Anderson. Right now, the hottest battle, I'd say, is in the GTOs.
I was going to say that pack running down the Mulsanne Straight, Joe, that really helped them out. They started to catch up to Riley and Rob Olenek now as Mukanos just gets by Jamie Hull.
That moves Mukanos up into third position. Still quite a gap between them, about 4 seconds up to Thompson. Through the Ford chicane. I believe it's Recordement. I might be botching the French on that for the last one is the official name. They're all just the Ford chicanes to me.
Yeah. I have some French friends. That's about the extent of my good French. I do like saying Circuit de la Sarthe, though.
Yes. Oh, and Fabian Jungbluth just got left behind on the straight. That was with contact, actually. Clayton McLeod got into the back of him through Tertre Rouge. We're getting the replay of it, and that not only hurt Jungbluth, but Clayton McLeod lost the position to Matt Orr, who sneaks by, you'll see here. Wow, lucky that Clayton tipped him back forward like that. Unfortunately, going to put damage on both cars, and as we've seen, a straight line speed is going to be ultra important at this track. Up to our leaders, staying very tight between Albrecht and Gerber. What a turn of form this would be if Justin Albrecht could find himself winning a race.
Easy. It's funny. We've got the battle going on in the Nissans, and we've got the same battle going on in the Audis as Thompson's going to try and overtake on Olenek here.
Heading down the Mulsanne Straight, that is Rugenbrink still ahead of them, trying to stretch away. Ooh, and Olenek a little bit wide on the corner, comes in too hot. This is going to hurt his exit. And there goes Thompson into the lead for the first time in many rounds.
Yeah, he might have even gotten a slowdown penalty for that, Joe. That was awful close to the boundaries there.
I think he got away with it because he's not falling back too far.
No.
Whoa, and he gets into the back of Thompson. Braking a little bit too late. Thompson gets turned completely around, and this is going to allow the next pack to catch up to him.
Going to let everybody get... His director just made a good point. If he can find the right gear to get in to get restarted, that really got him behind. Now he's all the way behind Trengarade, fighting back. Right to a battle. Looking at the replay here with Olenek.
Olenek well enough. This is definitely not intentional. Just you can see him panic because he's trying to hold the car together.
He had no brakes. I mean, he was just really trying to control it, and he just grazed him. Really, it was not a hard hit at all. Hard enough though to cause that damage on the right front.
Let's see if we can see any damage on the rear of Thompson as well. He returns to this race in 5th position in class, and in fact 3 whole seconds behind that second pack that is now 3 behind Rob Olenek. And from that view, it didn't look like really there's anything on the back of Riley.
I'm not seeing anything there, Joe. And you know what? I think he's going to recover from this. I think this is a good track to recover from something like that. He's not damaged. He's still got great pace. He should be able to get back up there.
Speaking of recovery, how about Matt Orr? Started this race in 9th. He's sitting in 4th now. That's quite a climb.
Yes, it is. There's nothing empty about that effort, is there, Joe?
Well, we'll see if he can bring it home, though.
Sorry.
And we've got a bit of a battle, though, going between Keith, Jungbluth, and McLeod. This is for 6th in the GTP class. Remember, Jungbluth got set back a little bit. McLeod had to check up because of the tip that he gave him. And they've got Keith into the mix as well. Right on board, looking back at Jungbluth.
And Joe, I think Jamie Hall's got a problem. This is more than a slowdown penalty. He just let everybody get by. Started with Villarola and then Riley Thompson, Ove Trengrade. But again, it just doesn't seem like it was a slowdown. He seems slow, period, right now.
I think it was a slowdown because he went wide at karting and then had to give it up. Maybe it just is a case of iRacing being a little bit harsh on that. He's back going now, but he's down in 6th. Thompson moves up 1 spot from where he slipped down to. And actually, taking a look, Mukanos is stretched away from these guys. Nick is moving forward.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's dropped, what? He's got Billy back there just under a second. And Billy broke really deep there. And it's going to cost him on exit. Boy, look at Mukanos just run away from him there. Wow. And you outbreak yourself into these chicanes, man. You're going to pay for it on the exit. Absolutely, every time.
That old racing adage, slow out, or slow in, fast out.
I'm sorry, Joe. Ove and Thompson going at it.
Thompson trying to continue his climb behind them. That is Jamie Hall, who we saw with the slowdown earlier, but Hall runs out of track. They stay in order. Ove in 4th, Thompson 5th, and Hall in 6th. Draft should mix that up here, heading towards the Mulsanne corner, though. Thompson closing in. He's given the inside. Trangrade not going to fight it. Hall's going to follow him through. Or is he? Oh, he breaks early. But now I'll give P4 to Riley Thompson. Now, here's the question. Can he catch Villarola before he gets passed right back by Trangrade? So they work their way through. Looks like Rola's just... These guys are... They're getting a little feisty here.
My least favorite part of the course right here. That's always so scary for me coming down to Indianapolis.
Same here. Same here. It doesn't matter what car it is. It is terrifying taking that little kink. And right on board with Hall. Right in the tire tracks of Thompson. Can report that Mukanos and Rolla have caught one another. Well, more Rolla has caught Mukanos. That is a battle for 2nd right now as they work their way through the Porsche curves. Draft making it nearly impossible to try to shake someone.
In the meantime, Rob Olenek doesn't care about any of this, Joe. He's got a 4.5 second lead.
Rob Olenek, of course...
yeah, he does have that damage, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's got to at least cost him a few tenths each lap, I would think. So not... I mean, that doesn't look catastrophic, but if anybody catches him, he's going to be a sitting duck for sure. Prototypes, remember Matt Orr getting up to 4th? He's not settling for that. He's looking at getting on the podium. Empty Box going to take a look, coming up on Gerber towards the Michelin chicane. Let's see if he can get it done. He's got a nose ahead. Is this job done? Nice and clean to both apexes. Look at that. Empty Box delivers.
Man, I think Jungbluth had a problem because he's dropped several spots now, a couple at least actually, and I'm seeing heavy damage on the front of that car now. I don't know if I'm going back. Oh yeah, Joe, I found it.
4 is the chicane.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and pull it up. This looks like a dose of turbo lag.
Joe, let's look at it. I looked like he caught the top of the curb on exit, and maybe a combination of the curb and turbo lag is what sent him around into the barrier there. Let's listen.
Not a fun combination, I'd say. This is on board Bluth.
No, that was Turbo Light, Joe, all the way.
As we were watching that replay, Gerber did get by Orr once again. So I wonder if that's going to be a bit of leapfrog throughout this race until someone makes a mistake, at least. They are not too far. Oh, and speaking of mistakes, Orr has found himself turned in the wrong direction out of Arnage. As tall as these gears are, even that won't save you from the turbo lag. Well, he returns in 7th. That's going to be a little bit disappointing with him previously fighting for that podium spot. Had to let a lot of cars by. Oh, and second place switches positions in the GTOs. We're looking at the replay now. This looks like a simple slipstream pass.
Yeah, just taking advantage of the Mulsanne straight. And pulling off a good one.
And they're going to try and swap positions again. Rolla is on the viewer's left there. Around the outside, breaking into Indianapolis. Brave stuff from Mucanos, but he gets it done cleanly. Up ahead of these guys, there was a swap for 5th place in the prototypes. Clayton McLeod managed to get by John Keefe. That was heading down the front stretch. Oh, Ove had an issue. Ove coming out of Arnage.
Uh-oh.
Despite the 4-wheel drive, just could not find the traction. And he clatters it into the Armco. Onto the power, and around she goes. So Ove also slipping down to 8th. We're seeing a lot of drivers make mistakes. In fact, mistakes for poor Fabian Jungbluth I don't think were over. I think he managed to get himself accidentally turned around in the pit entry. He's since found his stall. We don't need to replay and embarrass the poor guy, but he did unfortunately bang it into the tire barriers entering into the pits. Poor Tobias Gerber as well. The guy managed to shake off empty box, and then all of a sudden Radar Anderson rocks up behind him. Everybody wants third shot.
Yeah. Let's jump on the train. Everybody fight for third today. You know, a good result by Anderson would actually be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
It's you know what, he's had some tough times this season, actually. And boy, he's right there fighting for it today, man. And Joe, there's still 43 minutes to go in this race. There's an eternity left here.
My goodness, the attrition. Well, I shouldn't say attrition because we still have a lot of cars still running, but man, certainly this has been a punishing one, the Kamel GT series, and that's saying something for this series. As closing in up towards Indianapolis, Anderson's got the slipstream. Gerber, is he going to cover him off? Big lift from Radar, electing not to try and make the pass here into the difficult braking. Through Arnage they go. Let's see if we can get a launch towards the Porsche curves. Looks like they're about dead even. Not quite close enough for Anderson. So just going to have to sit back for now.
That's okay. I'll go back to the how much
time. I think Mucanos and Rolla passing once again. Into Michelin. This is for second position. Villy is managing to sneak his way by. Almost wonder if these guys maybe are working together to try and catch Rob.
Trying, but they're not, Joe. They're not. Olenek still got now it's 5 seconds.
Man,
He's faster. He is.
Rob is just ignoring whatever damage he's got and booking it.
I think that opening on the right front there is cooling the brakes and maybe creating more aero possibly for him.
Well, the positions just repeatedly changed back and forth almost every straightaway because Roll is getting by Mukanos again. That's whether or not it's working. They seem to be having a bit of fun out there, at least, and they have stretched away from the next car down in fourth. That would be Jamie Hall. Kind of found himself in no man's land. I kind of wonder if Thompson is catching him or not, though. I think Thompson is.
Yeah, it's well, you know, ever since Raleigh had that trouble, man, it's been an uphill climb. Oh, Mukanos and Ruola still going at it, Joe.
This is,
yeah.
I'm not sure. This is almost becoming laissez-faire between these two, though. We don't want to wind up spending the whole race watching them just trade back and forth. They come to complete another lap here. 40 minutes left to go. And again, there is one pit stop to consider. You would think, Sean, that if they were actually legitimately fighting one another, that one or the other would say, okay, I'm just going to pit in and get out of this mess. Meanwhile, Radar Anderson now finds himself on the podium as he just squeaks by the car of Stephen Jones. Boy, that was a little tight.
Yes, it was.
Be right on board with Gerber, giving chase to the number 16. Anderson started this race in 7th spot. For those wondering, only 2 DNFs so far that we're seeing. Philip Lake and Nicholas Schneider are out of the race. Still have 23 cars still out there. And the overall lead is changing hands. Or is it? Nope, Gerber's going to fend off Albrecht for now. Or actually, did Albrecht have it a moment ago? When did Albrecht get to the lead? I must have missed that one. Oh, and I think there was contact.
Actually, there was.
On Anderson and Gerber in Indianapolis just moments ago.
Just now. Yep, we've got it on the replay. Here it is, Joe.
Gerber coming from way back.
Oh, boy, they're going to clatter hard, too. This is not light damage here, Joe.
Yeah, and Anderson was not expecting him. Boy, as far away as he was coming into Indianapolis, Gerber might as well have been in Purdue. Only Midwesterners are going to get that joke.
Well, it still provided a decent battle for the two on board with Gerber. They're going back live now.
But I think either Gerber's damaged or he let Anderson by. I'm thinking the former, because here comes Clayton into the forward curves, takes him easily. Oh, 8th place is Matthias Goldauger. Had a bit of an issue in the Porsche curves. Yes, he has. He was trying to overtake some traffic in the form of Stephen Jones. Gave Jones a little bit of a show.
He put it right out on the edge a little bit. Let's watch the SimSport News car here come out to the left and a little bit of grass, Joe. I think that's what helped get Matthias around there.
That makes sense to me. Number 23 does return to the track. Oh, and we got a taker, I think, for a scheduled stop. Hideki Koivisto heads in.
You know, we didn't talk about how tricky the entrance is to pit lane here. You really got to kind of be, you got to be on point when you hit it.
Absolutely. You've got to practice. You can get a penalty for an unsafe pit entry if you mess it up and overshoot either of the places where you need to brake. Meanwhile, as we jump up to our leaders, it's still Albrecht in second with Gerber leading. I'm kind of curious, is Koivisto going to get passed by the GTO class? Because that will certainly not be fun if he's having to weave his way through them.
No, he's rolling
he's
now.
coming out now.
Yeah,
He's
and
good.
Olenik's just getting out of the Porsche curves.
Boy, Gerber is hurting. He's not only been passed by McLeod, he's being overtaken by John Keefe now. Remember, John Keefe was a number of seconds back. Yeah, if I'm Tobias, I am pitting ASAP.
Why not? Get the car in now before you lose any more. But the problem is that he's already elected to go around one more time when he could have gone in already. So, again, long lap around, Joe. He's going to have to, well, I mean, there's another position back there. You can see it on screen. Is that Johnny Bell?
No, that's Matt Orr. Matt Orr's coming up on him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's Matt Orr. And Krajcik just gets by Matthias Bulldogger.
Yeah, Matthias not been having the greatest of days today. He's back down to 9th. He did start 14th, so he's come up some spots, but had a few mistakes along the way. Oh, Krajcik outbreaking himself into the Mulsanne corner. And he finally gets it going. And we've been given a picture from Martin Krajcik. There was an actual prototype. I don't know if we mentioned it last time or not.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Use this paint scheme.
Yeah, and I mean, it's identical to what Martin's got on the car.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a Porsche is the only main difference. Looks like he's not able to get past Goldogger, who takes his spot back. Ooh, bit wide coming out of Arnage for Matthias. But unfortunately, that meant that Martin could not track out. He still manages to get on the power a little bit better. Momentum in favor of Martin Krajcik, and he's got it.
And by the way, if you are interested and you're not paying attention to the YouTube chat, oh, geez, that looked like a little bit of contact there, Joe.
They're getting a little bit hot down there in the mid-pack.
Oh, we're going to look at it from above.
This was entering into the Porsche curves. Just the lightest of touches are going to happen here.
Hey, Brushton. I was going to say, we've got a link to that Tic Tac Porsche in the YouTube chat. If anybody would actually like to take a look at that original livery.
Apparently, the person who now owns that car does take it to vintage races every once in a while. So you can see it on track if you catch it at the right time. Radar Anderson had disposed of Tobias Gerber with his damage, but Clayton McLeod is the next in line to try and take this third place away.
Well, we're about to hit the halfway point. I think, Joe, I think the majority of your pit stops may happen right here at the halfway point.
Well, and speaking of which, Tobias didn't come in. Tobias is still going.
Yeah, he is.
I don't get this call, Sean.
Not if it's slowing him down that much. I mean, he's about 3 to 4 seconds off pace from the leaders based on his last lap time.
Yeah, he should have come in that very first lap. Keefe got by him.
I was going to say, Rugenbrink is in. He's peeled off.
Remember Rugenbrink involved in that huge incident on the first lap heading down. As meanwhile, this battle for position, Matt Orr gets by Gerber. I almost wonder, Gerber hasn't dropped off Keefe. Maybe he's been able to slip back into the draft and keep up with these guys.
Well, Orr is certainly recovering, Joe. I mean, last time around, he had the fastest lap of everybody on track. So he has definitely found something here on his climb back up the leaderboard.
Takes a little bit of a peek on the Hoosier, but John Keefe will deny him for now. Get a second bite of the apple, heading down through No Name and Golf. Boy, It has been a long stop for Michel Rugenbrink. He's having a lot of damage get repaired. Right on board with Orr. Side by side. Oh, that was a lapped car. That was Roy Pruitt trying to let them by. That got hairy. But still, Matt gets it done. Oh, but he goes a little wide through Arnage. John Keefe capitalizes, streams on by, or stops the bleeding before Gerber can get by. But, man, right as he took the position, hands it right back. A little bit of a look from Gerber. Not close enough to make a serious attempt. Gerber will stay in 7th. This puts Matt Orr back to 6th. Not missing anything up front, by the way. Fabian Gerber, the fellow Gerber out here on track, is still about 7/10 ahead of Justin Albrecht.
Do you think maybe they were Gerber babies? Just a thought, Joe.
Could have been. Could have been. It would be very appropriate. As we watch. Oh, and Radar Anderson comes in for his stop. Yeah. So Anderson, with a fight that he had with Clayton McLeod, decides maybe now is the best time to get out of the way. Like that paint scheme on that car, by the way. So many of these drivers put great efforts into giving them retro paint schemes, and this one feels incredibly appropriate. Oh, and did Matt Orr have an issue? Oh, yes, he did. Empty box with another problem, discovering just how tough these GTP cars can be. This is heading down the Chapel Rundown, out of the Dunlop Bridge.
Oh, it really just kind of snapped on him. Huh.
Yeah, that's not a typical place.
No, it's not. It just, well, you saw it. It just kind of snapped out. It snapped out a line on him.
Huh. Well, Matt will have to tell us what's going on a little bit later if he comes in for an interview, because I've never really seen a car lose it that quickly in that corner, especially one of these prototypes. Martin Krejcik has also taken his scheduled stop. Jungbluth has since been in and out. Anderson has been in and out. I think the longest stop we've seen, though, for repairs is definitely Michel Rugenbrink, who's fallen way down the order after he's returned to the track.
And surprisingly enough, none of the Audis have peeled off yet, Joe.
I thought we had one of them, but I think, yeah, you're right. Nobody.
Well, Stephen Jones actually is on his outlap right now. He did come in last time around. That was kind of a long stop, though, for him. Might have gotten a little damage repaired on that, so he may have needed to come in. But the rest of the guys still running here in the Audis. None of them have made that move yet. Olenek is coming around, though. I wonder if he might might take a dive in here. Oh, there he did.
In fact, this is our closest battle that we're looking at, and that's going to separate too. That's Billy Rolla. Nice and tidy in there.
Going to set the tone for the field here.
With Mukanos by himself, let's see what he can do. He's now 9.5 seconds back from Rob Olenek. Olenek is cruising, looking like... didn't he win last week, actually?
Yes, Joe. I believe he did. I can confirm that for you. Hang on a moment.
All right. Well, while he is looking that up, you can see Riley Thompson has headed in for his stop. Going to get it out of the way. Brian Shanahan comes in, and Miroslav Jurasek does not. We were wondering about not seeing any of these GTO cars coming in, and they're coming in waves. Not missing anything in the prototypes. They have spread apart tremendously all the way through that field. There is our leader still, Fabian Gerber. The Austrian driver has had a little bit of a fight between himself and Albrecht, but he has since seemed to shake Albrecht. It's about 3.8 seconds. So what was staying consistently within 1 second has very much changed. Did we miss a tick with Albrecht? Checking to see if he had an incident or an off somewhere.
I'm so picked it up myself. I didn't see it, Joe.
Did you find out if we?
You know what? Won? He didn't win. He did finish on the podium. He was third last week. It was Willy Raiola who got the win last week.
Ah, that's what it was. So I did dig up what happened to Albrecht. It's too long ago for us to try and find a replay, but he came into the Forza chicane too hot on the last lap, and unfortunately that cost him the time that you now see gapped between himself and Gerber.
Well, while that was all going on, we did have several Audis decide to come in for their pit stop. Raiola, Thompson have been in. Brian Shanahan's in. They're all out on their out laps now, Joe.
Still waiting on Olenek, Mukanos, Hall, and Trangrade and Jurasek in the GTOs to take their stops. There you see Raiola, the highest of the pitting GTOs at the moment. Thijs Guldiger and the GTPs comes in for his scheduled stop. Highest pitter in the GTPs at the moment is Radar Anderson. He came in from what I believe was third position. If not, it was fourth. He was in a fight with McLeod at the time. Past that magical halfway point, and we still have 23 of our 25 starters. Not bad, not bad.
Joe, I think I found out what Olenek and Mukanos are doing here. They're teammates, of course. And you look at the right front on both cars, look practically identical. I think they did find something, an aero package there that kind of worked for them. A little damage on that right front, and you'll get her to stick and be about 0.2 faster than everybody else.
I'll have to take your word on that one. I'm not sure how much I believe that theory. You've been getting into Bill's hat closet and stealing some of his tin foil. All right, so now we've got Nicholas Mukanos coming in for his scheduled stop, and Olenek ahead of him also has entered the pits.
Yeah, good stuff. Makes sense that they're both in now. Jamie Hall is Hall's coming in too. So there we go.
And Trangrade, I think
Ove.
Trangrade's
Ove's going to keep digging.
No, Trangrade's in.
No, he's in. Okay, I'm sorry. He got me.
Jurasek, I anticipate him coming in. Yep, I think we found the limit of how far these cars can go on a full tank. Shouldn't really see anything dramatic as everybody was pretty spread apart in this group.
Well, Rola's is gonna pass them, Joe. He's just now coming down to the Ford chicane.
I'm not sure that he's going to pass him because Olenek's already heading out. He might have gained some time though.
Boy, this is going to be close, actually.
Oh wow, yeah, Mukanos is still in there. Raiola is by.
So
I guess fresh tires are the way to go.
Well, as a short stop for Willy Raiola.
About 6 seconds over Mukanos. But comparable to Jamie Hall. Jamie Hall had 26 seconds. You think maybe some taking tires, some not? Or is that maybe damage repair for Mukanos?
I could have been damage repair. Yeah, that certainly could have been.
Because Olenek also had 29 seconds.
Yeah, you know, when Olenek even opened his lead a little bit there on Raiola. I think they were separated by like 4.5 seconds, I think it was. Now it's a good 6.5.
Wow. Interesting stuff. We'll have to ask the drivers what happened strategy-wise. down on pit lane because this has thrown us a curveball. There is our leader in the GTOs. If you're just joining us here at Le Mans, 21 minutes left. About a third of the race still to go. A battle that's been starting to brew a little bit. Johnny Bell sits in 8th in the GTPs. Has yet to take his pit stop, though, so he should be peeling away from these guys soon. But Martin Krejcik and Hideki Koivisto closing in on him. Koivisto started this race in 12th, Krejcik 10th. Johnny Bell, however, the farthest back of the three, started 13th. Through Tertre Rouge one more time they go. One of the most critical corners. Try and get yourself a launch. Krejcik looking very solid, though. Gaining quickly on the back of Johnny Bell now.
Yeah, you know, Joe, maybe we are seeing just a little bit more draft than I anticipated out of these machines. Johnny doesn't have any damage on the car. That's just pure speed by Krejcik there.
You remember, Bell is yet to stop. What about tires during a pit stop in the GTPs? Do they mean anything? Is that maybe what's helping him fly by?
Maybe a little bit, Joe. It's 109 degrees on track today. We never really talked about the weather, but I mean, it's a clear day, a little over 82 degrees outside. It's hot on track. So I'm going to think that, yeah, tires are probably going to help a little bit because these braking zones here are really hard. Throw a lot of heat to the tires, degradation. So I'm thinking that might be a part of what we're seeing with the fresh tires as well. Johnny obviously still out there, and well, he's already got company from Hideki Koivisto. Looks like he's going to pass him pretty easily here as well.
Yeah, Koivisto streams by. That moves him up to 9th and Krejcik up to 8th. Still waiting on a number of pit stops, though, for our leaders. Gerber, Albrecht, McLeod, and Matt Orr have all not stopped yet. There we see our leader working his way through the Forest S's. Ever since he dropped Justin Albrecht, Justin has been holding station just over between 4 and 5 seconds. What he initially lost, it seemed to be increasing, and then suddenly he managed to halt the progress of the number 1 car.
So Phil Lake in the chat saying that really not taking tires here gains you about 3 to 4 seconds. So that could explain a little bit about Billy Raiola and where he's at in the field right now for the GTOs. But it doesn't matter. Olenek continues to open it up a little bit more every lap, Joe. He's now, what, 7.5 seconds?
Wow. Incredible stuff. Would have thought that Olenek would have been caught by Roll a little bit better, but he's managing well in that number 2 car. Still 17 minutes left to go on the clock. Everything's starting to spread apart in each of the classes. Once we get pit stops for our GTPs, we'll run through the field. If I understand correctly, the prototype cars in most normal tracks do about 50 minutes. So I would think with how fuel thirsty this one is, that we'll see them go, what, about 40 minutes? Actually, no, it can't be 40 minutes because we're past 40 minutes.
Yeah, we just passed it. Maybe closer. They're really getting into their window, Joe. I think you're right on it, actually, that they're approaching that window where another thing about Le Mans, don't miss that pit entry and have to go around one more time if you're short on fuel, because it's not going to end well for you.
That's for sure. As Gerber comes through Arnage now. Even though he's playing nice with the incident limit here, or excuse me, with the track edges here, there is no incident limit in the Kamel GT series. The only thing they really need to worry about is a slowdown penalty.
And we could definitely pick one of those up here. Several areas of this track. Very easy to do, especially if you overdrive the car, Joe.
That's for sure. Through bridge now into karting of the Porsche curves. Gap still holding station between himself and Justin Albrecht. Those two completely unfazed by the rest of the pack, as Albrecht has 15 seconds back to Clayton McLeod for the final spot on the podium.
You know, in the pre-race, I talked about, about 85, as we see pit stop happening here. I talked about 85% of this lap, you're on full throttle. Well, that's one, why you eat a lot of fuel. Two, Joe, the other side of that is you have a tendency to maybe want to overdrive it a bit. And we've seen it happen to several drivers today. When you're in the throttle for that long, sometimes you forget how to get out of the throttle and maybe get back to the brakes where your marks are at. And so important to have your marks here. But Justin Albrecht is in. We see all of our leaders coming down now, Joe.
All of them except for Matt Orr. What is Empty Box doing? I would have said that this is as far as they can go, but maybe not. And he's not sitting still. That's I mean, the purple up there, Sean, that means he just set the fastest lap of the whole race.
See, showing up here this week just to outfox everybody. Joe, something's going on there with that car. It just got faster. I said before he was recovering. He was climbing back up through the leaderboard. But obviously exploiting the light fuel load right now. He's got that car flying. I just hope he can make it around. He's going to be right on the pins.
We did have a bit of a significant moment with the pit stops because Justin Albrecht came out 1.1, but he had a mistake there in the Forest S's just now. So, well, what he gained, he just gave right back, unfortunately. Not really worth a look back, just a little bit wide. Maybe cold tires, Sean?
Could be, Joe. There's no tire warmers on these things, and you do have to throw a little bit of heat to them before you can get that grip back.
Braking hard down for the Forza chicane. Justin Albrecht now has some ground to make up. And that second place that you see for Fabian Gerber is not because he's lost the lead for what we believe will be the full race. It's just Matt Orr continuing on farther than anybody else on track, because even Johnny Bell, way down in the pack, has taken his stop.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Orr is our only holdout. Well, I'm showing Roy Pruitt actually hasn't stopped yet, but he is he's a couple laps down. Or okay, no, actually Pruitt did stop. So
I think Pruitt was involved in that first accident. Yep. So he might actually need 2 stops, honestly, because if he came in that early.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right, Joe, because right now I've got him clocked in at 11 laps. He's working on 12 now. He probably is going to need to pit because there's still about, I don't know, a little over 4 laps left in this race.
Things winding down. There's Roy Pruitt's number 24 continuing on. Oh, and Albrecht's continuing to lose time. It is now 4.4 seconds behind Gerber.
Interesting development, Joe, in the Audis. Villarola is starting to catch Rob Olenek. He's got that down to under 6 seconds all of a sudden. Olenek, of course, was looking unbeatable, had gotten all the way up to almost an 8-second advantage, and now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Villarola.
Meanwhile, as we go back to Empty Box, he approaches the pit entry. If he doesn't come in this time, I'm going to call shenanigans. There we go.
Boy, he really stretched that tank out.
Let's hope he doesn't sputter his way into the pit stall.
And he was charging that whole stint too. I mean, I can't imagine at any point he was saving fuel.
And I don't think that there would be a difference in the aero setup, or at least a drastic one between him and the other cars, because everybody's going to be trimmed out since it's Le Mans. So there's no way he could have saved more fuel just by having less wing. Yeah, I'm baffled on this one. Meanwhile, fourth place getting ever tighter between Radar Anderson and Clayton McLeod. This is going to be a fight for the podium because Matt Orr is in the pits and they pass him by. In fact, Matt Orr is going to re-enter in fifth place, it looks like, after his stops are said and done. And he is in the proverbial no man's land with nobody nearby within his class.
Yeah, and he came out on track right behind Rob Olenek, our GTO leader. And that gap to him and Rolla has spread out just a bit. So Rolla must have had a little bit of a problem, maybe back there in the Porsche curves.
On screen, Clayton McLeod got a great run out of Tertre Rouge, and Radar Anderson might not have an answer for him. Clayton has to duck back in line, though. Is Clayton dealing with some damage that's maybe hurting his top end? Take a little bit of a look into Forza. Go ahead.
Either that or he's trying to save a smidge of fuel.
That could be, too. That's very true.
You know, they don't have to take a full fuel load there, Joe, when they came in, especially as late as the Nissans waited. Probably, you know, just a bit of a splash, a few gallons maybe.
Again, a bit different from what these guys are used to. Typically, they run 40-minute races once or twice a season. They have a 60-minute race that they run as an enduro to include pit stops. So drivers who aren't used to the car that they're driving in, because sometimes we see these drivers switch classes, or drivers who just haven't done one of these enduros before with the Kamel series might not be as experienced on how much they need to fill up.
Joe, I think we've got a battle at the back, towards the back of the Audis, between Shanahan and Miroslav Jurasek. You know, they've been on track next to each other all day, and that was the Hideki Koivisto just getting by them. But Miroslav starting to catch him, starting to catch Shanahan now, as Hideki coming through there kind of brought things together. Miroslav's been behind him for most of this race. Juracek might have a chance here. There he goes.
Looks to the inside, coming up to the Michelin chicane. Shanahan's got no answer for him, but as they break, he tries to come back in. He's going to have to settle now for 8th in class. Juracek still moving himself forward. Puts him into 7th. Oh, Albrecht had an issue. He's lost 2 positions.
No. Yep. Got him in the Porsche curves.
Now, did he get a slowdown or what happened? Because I'd seen it in the previous corner. As we see Fabian Gerber set the fastest lap. This must have been a slowdown somewhere, because Albrecht slowed unusually. Well, that allows the battle for what was 3rd place, now 2nd place, on by Anderson, continuing to try to fight back McLeod.
Tell you what, Clayton has not been able to find an opportunity to get around here. Anderson is having a hell of a drive right there. Joe hanging on to that spot.
Every spot is important, and every moment in this race is important. These guys used to be fighting for 4th, maybe even as far down as 5th, and just through clean racing, we're looking at next best on the field behind Fabian Gerber. Speaking of which, Sean, 24-second gap up to Fabian.
Yeah.
So there had to be more than one slowdown then for Albrecht. Because that one slowdown would only be, I would think, about maybe 10 seconds that it looked like he lost. We missed something with Justin, I think. Taking a look at his lap times.
McLeod here getting around Radar Anderson.
So I think the last 2 laps for Justin Albrecht have had 2 cut courses because I'm seeing 2 missing laps from him. So, and he must have had multiple ones in recent times to send him back to where he is. You can see he's even fallen back into the clutches of Matt Orr, who can see him on track now. 5 minutes left to go here in this race, and with our drivers running 3.5 minutes laps, I think we got about a lap and a half left. 2 to go at the line, we believe.
Yes, that's what I'm showing, Joe. We'll have 2 to go at the line. Man, what a race Gerber's had. to drop the field by 25 seconds is pretty impressive. That's knowing your way around this place, obviously.
Well, he's had some practice. He was out in, I believe, in a LMP2 car over the official iRacing 24 hours of Le Mans for hopping out of the car and then getting into this one. He's going to be sick of this place before the day is out. We see McLeod leading Anderson, and Anderson about a second back now, losing touch. They come onto the Porsche curves, or we lead up to the Porsche curves, I should say. Cloud getting a little bit wide, working his way through. And Albrecht lost another one.
That's Matt Orr still climbing, still trying to get back into a podium spot here, Joe.
Let me check to see. I'm not seeing any place where Albrecht is cutting the course. I wonder if this is fuel. I have to think that Justin Albrecht is just trying to save fuel at this point. Hitting a number, and he's finding out towards the end of each lap that the number's not looking good. Oh, we had a car spun out of the final chicane. That was Roy Pruitt.
Boy, that was right in front of Orr. Orr and Albrecht, for that matter.
I believe it's usually said and or. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Texas driver, maybe just a little bit too much curb on the second part, spins it around. Pruitt's having some sort of issue. He's come to a halt at the Dunlop chicane. Well, if he's just going to call it a day here.
Yeah, I mean, he was only a lap out from his stop.
And speaking of a lap out, you can see we're now under the 2.5 minute mark. So white flag, definitely next time by for our drivers. Fabian Gerber looking incredibly comfortable. 26 seconds to the next car down. And Anderson, despite a good fight with Clayton McLeod, has finally lost touch. Number 13 gets himself up into second, and that is from 5th position on the grid. This is a great run from him. Anderson as well deserves some credit, going from 7th to 3rd. We haven't checked in on our GTOs for a while, and well, that's because they've also spread apart.
Yeah,
Rob
they have.
Olenek has still got about 6 seconds over Rurola, Sean.
He does, and Rola's just, Rolla had that fleeting moment there where he was catching him and had gotten it down a little over 4 seconds, and now just can't make any more gains. I think they were about a lap difference on fuel or on their pit stops, and I think they obviously both cars have leveled out now. But Rob, they were saying in the chat that he's been a beast here all week in practice, and well, I think he's taking care of the business he set out to do when this green flag dropped today, and Rob's just got to hang on for a lap and a half here, which I don't think is going to be an extreme challenge for him, to be honest. Rurola has had a great race, but again, I think he's just going to fall short on this one. Not enough time left, not enough track to get it done with.
Remember, we were watching Riley Thompson's progress on one of many recovery drives we've been paying attention to. Well, it seems he is stalled out at 5th. Jamie Hall has been keeping him about 5 seconds back, and Thompson does not look like he has enough time to try and get that away from him.
Yeah, Dirty Torque Racing looking for a podium today for both cars, and Olenek and Mukanos, man. Johnny Bell's back in the pits, Joe.
And this is his 3rd stop because he's already got 2 under his belt. I saw him duck in there a little bit earlier, unexpectedly. Interesting stuff. Now, we are on the white flag lap. As you can see on our graphic, Gerber's gone by. In fact, he's already on the Mulsanne. So in about a minute and a half more, this race will be over.
Olenek just coming through the Porsche curves now. He'll take the white flag when he comes across, Joe.
And just to give you an idea of the scale and length of this track, the GTO cars, which typically go down many laps, even in 40-minute races, in a 60-minute race, they were only able to lap them, the GTPs, 1 time. In fact, usually we cover them going by. I almost wonder, Sean, if most of the passes between the classes happened while the GTO cars were pitting.
I think that's the case, honestly, because let's face it, the majority of the GTOs all came in at the same time, Joe.
They were watching the Austrian leader, Fabian Gerber, the number 1, working his way towards Mulsanne corner now, has dealt with both of the chicanes. Nissan braking hard for Mulsanne corner. Just has to bring it home from here. Really doesn't have to push it that hard. Doesn't have to threaten the car, put it in danger in this final lap. And Albrecht has lost another one. John Keefe now cruising by. There's some damage, actually quite a bit of damage on.
Yeah, Albrecht's got damage on that car. He may even be riding with a meatball right now, and you can't do that for more than 4 laps, I think it is. Yeah.
Is he trying to get lapped, maybe? He can't now. He's got to finish this lap. Bizarre stuff. Disappointing stuff for Albrecht. But not disappointing for Fabian Gerber, who has now entered the Porsche curves. Through bridge and into karting. This Blaupunkt machine won at Watkins Glen. And I think he's going to win here at Le Mans. This is definitely an important one if you are a sports car driver. You want to win this race. So up into the Ford curves. Just 1 more to go for Fabian Gerber, taking the checkered flag, winning here in round 10 for the iRacing Kamel GT Series.
Wow. And what a magnificent run at that. That wasn't just a good run. That was a great run. When you gap the field by that much, you've done something special. Clayton McLeod coming around, going to bring it home in second today.
Yeah, fantastic job to be best of the rest. Had to dispose of Radar Anderson, and he did so, leaving him in the dust. Radar, however, boy, credit to him. I want to say this is the first time we've seen him on the podium in the GTPs.
Yeah, no, I think it is, Joe. I think you're right on with that. Now the GTO field coming around. Let's see. It looks like Rob Olenek just got through Indianapolis, so he's on his way here, Joe, to a win.
Certainly looks like it. He's got 7 seconds over Billy Rolla. Have to wonder if Billy had managed to get himself a little bit better qualifying. Could he maybe have challenged for this? But ifs, ands, or buts, you just can't count on them. At the end, what happens, happens. Through Bridge corner, he's got a prototype, Martin Krejcik, who's just cruising behind him. Now he's going to overtake him, it looks like. Didn't really want to get in the way of the leader.
Yeah, you never want to take a chance of getting next to the leader and
on the final lap in the last quarters. Well, as he comes to the forward chicane, Rob Olenek has got to be proud of this one. He may have had a little bit of incidental contact there with Riley Thompson, but he still could not be caught and takes the win here at Le Mans.
And a good solid second place for Billy Rolla, last week's winner.
Nicholas Mukanos manages to take third. Bit of a battle for 7th.
Yeah, and
Juracek.
We talked about them earlier, Joe, and we saw Juracek get around Shanahan, but Shanahan got it back. I don't know, Juracek running out of track here.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite close enough. Actually, he's dropping back. Is he out of fuel? Oh, I think Juracek is out of fuel.
He is, Joe. Car's coasting.
Well, with that,
It's coasting.
we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. This is going to be the last car home. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And in the meantime, on your screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Circuit de la Sarthe. We just watched round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and hopefully you haven't taken off already to go watch the official iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans, because we still have the post-race here to do. And, well, our winner today, Fabian Gerber, and by a large margin over the rest of the field, 26 seconds back to second place, Clayton McLeod. Radar Anderson got himself a podium. We believe possibly the first podium he's gotten on the broadcast races. Matt Orr came in and was up and down the order, but still managed to get himself into fourth. John Keefe takes a fifth today, with Justin Albrecht in sixth spot. Tobias Gerber finishes in seventh, with Martin Krejcik coming home in eighth. Hideki Koivisto gets a P9, and then Fabian Jungbluth finishes in 10th. Matthias Goldauger finishes 11th today, with Michel Rugenbrink behind him in 12th, and then Johnny Bell finishes one lap down in 13th in the GTP class.
Joe, today it was all about Rob Olenek in the Audis, and boy, what an impressive effort for the New Englander. He'll finish first today, and another podium, second week in a row. Billy Rolla, same. Second week in a row on the podium for him, finishing second. Nick Bucanos, Rob's teammate, will finish third. Big day for Dirty Torque in the points. Jamie Hall will finish fourth. Riley Thompson, try as he might, only manages a fifth today. Ove Trengrade, sixth. Brian Shanahan brings it home in seventh. Miroslav Jurasek comes about 50 feet short of the finish line, will finish eighth. Roy Pruitt, 14th in class, 22nd overall in his Nissan. Stephen Jones is going to actually finish the race and finish in ninth. Phil, in and around the lake, was an early casualty and said, you know what, I'm going to get back in my HPD. And he finishes 10th. And then Nicholas Schneider, tough day for Nicholas. He winds up 15th in class, last car on the field, 25th, Joe.
We've got our winner in the prototypes waiting to talk to us, Fabian Gerber. Hopefully doesn't have to take off too quickly. Fabian, are you sick of Le Mans yet? We saw that you're racing over in the 24 as well.
Hi, guys. No, that must have been a different Fabian. I didn't drive there.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. Thought we had seen you racing over there. But regardless, you did a phenomenal job here today. 26 seconds. Did you expect that much of a gap? If you expected to win at all?
To be honest, not at all. Justin was really fast, and he was hanging on me all the time. And I expected him to be maybe better at the pit stop and then overtake me. But he did make some time then, but something happened to him later. So from then on, it was just checking the gap to Clayton, and I saw he couldn't make up time. So from then on, it was better.
Yeah, and looks like he ran into some trouble towards the end of the race as well. Well, this was obviously not as common, running 60 minutes here in the Kamel GT series. Do you like the longer races? Would you prefer more of them, or are you not a fan of the pit stop races?
I like them. There's more immersion to it, to a really long race with the pit stop. I used to drive the Lotus 79 for more than 4 years. Never pit stops, and I didn't miss it, but now with these races with pit stop, it gives some more to them, action more. It's exciting to calculate how much fuel I need, etc. It's really, I was really worried if I had enough fuel, maybe way too much. You never know.
Well, for you, I'd say the fuel calculations worked out just fine. Congratulations on the win, and hope to see you next week.
Thank you much. I will be there for sure. Thank you.
That was Fabian Gerber taking first place over in the prototypes. Not in first place, but competing in the GTOs is Riley Thompson. Sean's talking to him.
Yeah, Riley, you took a fifth place today here at Le Mans, but early on, man, you got out of the gate with a hot start there. You had a little bit of trouble, but you recovered well. Are you happy with the fifth place here at Le Mans?
Yeah, I'd say so. I didn't really get like any practice in this week because I was practicing for the actual 24 hours. So I would definitely take it.
Well, listen, you didn't get much prep. I know that's been a bit of a problem for you this season, but you still show really, really good pace. What's do you feel like you're getting more experience right now as the season goes on?
Yeah, as we're going to these like more tighter tracks, I definitely feel like I'm getting more experience, as I feel like that's my weak point right now.
I keep saying, if you ever get any time to practice, you're going to be really good, man. Hopefully you can find some more time to do it. You know, what was the biggest challenge though of Le Mans? Was this your first time here in the Kamel GT series? I mean, as far as getting in the Audi?
Yeah, this is my first time at Le Mans in here. I think the main thing is just the draft. It's after especially getting used to Daytona, the draft is so big in these cars that, and you can save fuel. So,
well, listen, a great effort. What team are you driving for today?
we're Downforce Racing.
All right, and what split are you guys in?
We're in 8th.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, go get back in the car, have a great race, and we'll catch you next week, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Up next, I believe we have the fifth place finisher over in the GTP class. That is John Keefe. Pull him in and see how his race went from his perspective. John, you had quite a few fights with a number of different people throughout, it seems.
Yeah, it was actually really good fun. I think it was myself, Matt Orr, and maybe it was Clayton or maybe it was Fabian. I can't remember. We went 3 wide going into Indianapolis, and somehow we all made it through that. So it was a good race.
Oh, I'm sad that we I don't think we got that one on screen at least. I'll have to go back and look for that. But here, this being a very different track from a lot of the others on iRacing, what are your feelings about Le Mans? Is this one you enjoy, or the long straights leave you a little sleepy?
Well, the straights with the Nissan, they don't really last as long as they do, say, with the LMP1. I know the LMP1 has a little more top end, but it feels like the straightaways are just shorter with the Nissan for some reason. It's really difficult when the track temps are really high, like they were today. 85 Fahrenheit would be ideal, I think, for the Nissan. But I can say this, it makes jumping over to the LMP1 a breeze after driving the Nissan here for an hour. It's almost easy to drive an LMP1 around here after this.
I can imagine those things, a little bit more technology to help you keep planted. But unfortunately, we'll have to cut this a little bit short as we're trying to finish things up a little early. So congratulations on a top 5 and hope to see you next week. Best of luck in the 24.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joe.
That was John Key, 5th place finisher. One last one before we go. And Sean has caught up with Matthias, who I think we're going to try and confirm how to say his last name here.
Yes. Matthias, congratulations on just getting out there and competing at Le Mans today. But you want to straighten out the name pronunciation for us real quick?
Yes, I don't think it's going to be easy for you, but it's pronounced Goulet. It's
Goulet.
Yeah, that's one of the best I've heard yet.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, we hope to see you back. You know, it was good seeing you out here today. This is a tough track. What was the biggest challenge for you?
Well, the biggest challenge for me was probably understeer and the turbo lag. I'm very new to the car. I only bought the car a couple of days ago, so I'm very new to the car. And yeah, overall understeer is going to be a big problem for me in the later stages of the races. But I think I'm getting used to the car now and trying to pick up the pace. So.
All right. Well, listen, just one last question before we let you go. Again, we hope to see you again next week. We did happen to notice you had a bit of a message, a personal message on your car. You feel comfortable about talking about that?
Yeah, I do. It's not really any problem anymore, but it's actually kind of a tribute to my granddad who died earlier this year. So that's my way of trying to feel a bit better about it. So, yeah.
Was he a racer too, Matthias?
No, he wasn't, but he meant very much to me. So.
Yes. Well, hey, listen, our best to you. Thanks for sharing that with us. And you plan to be back next week? Yes?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Well, that's great. We look forward to seeing you then. Thanks again. Congratulations on the 11th and surviving Le Mans.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Joe. That was Matthias Gurlag. Oh,
Goulet.
man, I messed it up. Goulet. That's right, Goulet.
Or at least our closest attempt
Yeah.
at it. We'll practice it. We'll keep coming back to it.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
We got to take off here. And of course, we want to give a big thank you to the Kamel GT community for coming back for another season here with the Global Sim Racing channel. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, if you head to our YouTube page, you'll be able to hit a big red button there that says subscribe. If you do that, you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. Next round, they are going to Donington, just across the channel. They're racing the national layout of that course. That'll be August 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.